Monday, at the request of the Honorable Zaake and his team, we were expecting a written submission from the Honorable Zaake's team, which, as directed, was delivered yesterday at 4 p.m. by 4 p.m. anyway. I did put that. The chairs seem to be empty. Yes. However, I've been in the office waiting from 11 o'clock, and my clerk tells me, I asked the clerk to ring the lawyers of the Honorable Zaake to see whether they are coming, because our meeting was supposed to be 11 o'clock, and it's coming to midday. Actually, it's almost midday now. The clerk has rung the lawyers, and there are two lawyers, but the senior lawyer. Yes, can you tell us what happened? I'm asking you, go on the microphone.
When I called Mrs. Kiza and Mujisha Advocates, I was informed by Mr. Aaron Kiza that the Honorable Francis Zaake had, as of this morning, withdrawn instructions to represent him in this matter.
When I got Honorable Zaake has withdrawn instructions from Mrs. Kiza and the Mugisha Company Advocates, I asked the clerk again to send a message to Honorable Zaake. First of all, I asked him to call him on his phone, which she did. And can you tell us what happened?
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Zaake did not pick up his telephone.
You don't think, just tell us what happened.
No, I said he didn't. Honorable Zaake didn't pick up his telephone.
So he didn't pick it up? Okay, the phone went unanswered. I also instructed her to send a WhatsApp message that we are waiting. I think we've done whatever is reasonably possible to have this meeting take off. Unfortunately, it's midday, the Honorable Zaake and lawyers are not here. Coupled with what we had received when they were here on Monday, I think we will have to take a decision on how to proceed. But let me just have your opinion about this before I make the necessary guidance. Yes or no?
Thank you, Chair. I think this from Honorable Zaake to this committee, and there is a blunt reason as to why this committee was formed, and for a Commissioner of Parliament to really disregard and not honor a call from this committee. I think we should not take it very lightly for this committee, and I do not think that we have any form of written apology on this table forwarded in advance from him. I urge that we continue way forward and find a way of making a decision that will bring this matter to an end without giving any more time of adjournment to Honorable Zaake's case. Thank you.
Yes.
I think right from the onset, if you remember, it was very clear first that Honorable Zaake had doubts regarding our committee, and from his communication, he has also gone further to explain that he does not believe in the impartiality of this committee. That means he has a lot of doubt. So the best we can do is proceed with whatever information that we have, and if necessary, maybe get more information from whoever can be summoned, apart from the ones that already appeared. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, the Honorable
Thank you very much. Now, Chair, the last time we were here, you adjourned this meeting in the presence of Honorable Zaake and his lawyers. You are aware of this date and the time. They have not supplied this committee with any sufficient cause as to why they are not here. And therefore, Honorable Chair, there is no reason why we should not proceed. It's someone's right to appear and not to appear. You can decide to appear before this committee or not to appear. And I think Honorable Zaake has decided to opt for the right not to appear, and that should not frustrate us from proceeding, Honorable Chair. In any case, Honorable Chair, the meeting was adjourned just because the lawyers were not prepared on that day. We given sufficient reason. They have given us their submissions, one of their objections. Honorable Chair, this committee can determine on the basis of their submissions on the objection, and if we find that we have the jurisdiction, Honorable Chair, we can proceed. And since he gave us his statement in written, it's on record.
Thank you. Honorable Tempoli.
Component with Honorable Zaake. So failing to appear is his right, but that one doesn't mean that as a committee we are going to stop our mandate. So we have to continue and dig deeper and report to the Speaker.
Report to the House.
Of us as members of the committee, we foresaw this, but with your guidance, we are still here. Reading from the written submissions of Honorable Zaake and his legal team, I think it is very clear that they are not interested in appearing before this committee because they raise issues of impartiality, lack of independence of this committee, the right to a fair hearing, etc., etc. And Honorable Chair, we have other committees where we sit. And to be honest, we have spent a lot of time here. We therefore want to request that we proceed as a committee and write a report about what has transpired in this matter and report to the House as required. I don't think that we would like to spend more time on this matter. I thank you.
Yes or no?
Honorable Zaake has showed disrespect to this committee. We should proceed as a committee and give a report to the House. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
The meeting was adjourned on the 28th of February, and his non-appearance to us as a committee will take it as he has nothing more useful to add, and whatever has been provided by him is sufficient for us to proceed to take a decision on this matter. However, it is also a concern when you look at on his report, where he states that the boss of this committee is the Deputy Speaker. I think that is something that is really disrespect, because this is a committee of Parliament and it's clearly defined in the rules of procedure. It is not a committee of the office of the Speaker or a committee of the Speaker. It is the committee of Parliament. So I beg that we proceed with information available to its logical conclusion.
Of Parliament from Bukhari County Central, and I am not a member of this committee, but I'm an interested party in the commission because I'm a member of the Parliamentary Commission. So I came to attend in that position as somebody who is interested in the matters going. I know, Chair, that committees of Parliament are at the level of the High Court. This committee chair that you're chairing is at the level of the High Court. So when a person does not appear, my small experience in being a paralegal is that some judgments are made in default, and also if court really deems it necessary that you have to appear, then they can arrest you and make you come to appear in the court. Because this committee actually has powers to pick someone from wherever, and they will come and appear. Whether the honorable member, I can be picked and they bring me to a committee of accountability, or any committee of Parliament, because this committee has powers and is a committee at the level of the High Court. So if, Chair, you deem it necessary that you're going to make judgment in default, so be it. The committee can go ahead with its work. If you really want Honorable Zaake, then you can order for the arrest of Honorable Zaake, and Honorable Zaake comes to the committee. This is within the powers of this committee.
The lawyers to put their written submission and also directed them to come and present it. The public and the press, I'm sure, are not party to what we are talking about. The first thing I'll do is to read the statement which was delivered to us by the Honorable Zaake's lawyers yesterday. I am doing this because, as I promised, this committee wants to be as transparent as possible. We did refuse the lawyers to just sneak this statement to us and run away. We actually wanted them to present it themselves. But now that they have opted to be away, let me read the statement. Even to the colleagues who may not have read that statement in our forum. It is addressed to me, the chairperson, through the clerk to Parliament. And it says, Honorable Zaake's written objections. Yesterday, Monday, the 28th of February, our client objected to the jurisdiction of the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline to handle matters of an alleged tweet that drove the Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Anita Mong, through the clerk to give you only 2 weeks to handle and report to the House. And because, in her words, we want action. You directed us to file written submissions regarding our client's objections by 4 p.m. today. We shall indicate below that the committee not only lacks jurisdiction, but is also biased by the Deputy Speaker against Honorable Zaake. The committee, though being quasi-judicial, is not the impartial and independent tribunal that the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda in Articles 28, 42, and 44 envisions. It all began on the 8th of February 2022 with the Speaker mocking Honorable Zaake. Thus, much as Honorable Zaake was tortured, as you have said, he was able to win a gold medal in athletics with a broken leg. As he briefed the committee yesterday, Honorable Zaake was shocked and deeply hurt when the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, with the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker's nasty joke. It appears that while Honorable Adduse was on Twitter, he saw words that he thought were derogatory of the Right Honorable Speaker. The answer given to our client by this committee of the proceedings of Parliament on the 15th shows that while presiding over Parliament, the Deputy Speaker stated, complained, and purported to guide. Thus, Honourable members, once again, Honourable Adduse raised a very pertinent issue. I note that the member's complaint is based on alleged abuse of the privileges by a member of this House. The breach of privilege touches the office of the Speaker of this House, and as you know, by provision of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, we have 2 presiding officers in this House. The conduct in this issue touches my personality as an individual, as the presiding officer of this House, and members of Parliament of this House, because the debate was in this House, not in the bar. It was in the House. In addition to that, the attacker is on the House and I. The law permits me to defend myself against any charges levied against me. The Constitution dictates a fair hearing of every citizen before decision is taken. I will therefore, as we continue with other processes, and I'm saying as we continue with other processes, because I also belong to a family, guide the complainant and that this matter is going to be referred to the Rules Committee under Rule 175 of our Rules of Procedure. and there was an applause by the House. The Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline must report to this House within 2 weeks. We want this report tabled in the House within 2 weeks because we want action. Government Chief Whip can whip us up because I'm also under him. Thank you very much for your concern. The emphasis is mine. Now the quote has ended. The emphasis is mine. The words belong to the Deputy Speaker. By that speech, the Deputy Speaker, the real complainant in this matter, has projected herself as a victim of an alleged disparaging tweet, which Honorable Adduse, the Deputy Speaker's Trojan horse, allegedly blames on Honorable Francis Zaake without cogent proof. Thinks that Honorable Adduse's complaint is based on alleged abuse of the privilege of a member of this House. She doesn't elaborate how so. Admits and recognizes that Honorable Adduse's complaint alleging Honorable Zaake's tweet disparaging against concerns her personally, that she considered stepping aside. I should have stepped aside, now he quotes, for him to preside over this matter that concerns me. Clarifies what all this is about her. She says, and he quotes again, the conduct in this issue touches my personality as an individual. She doesn't miss her words. This is a personal matter that the Deputy Speaker is abusing the platform of Parliament to settle against Honorable Zaake. Wants to defend herself because she posts. The law permits me to defend myself against any charges levied against me. At this point, the Deputy Speaker's self-perception is that of an accused, respondent, victim crying for a chance to defend herself. The Deputy Speaker has guided that the instrument for her to defend herself, even further complain, push back against what Honorable Adduse has told her are unkind remarks about her from Honorable Zaake in the Committee on Rules. Jurisdiction. The rules of this committee spring from Article 94, enjoining Parliament frame rules to regulate its own procedures, including the procedures of its committee. That article is appropriately titled Rules of Procedure in Parliament. It is not rules of procedure outside Parliament. Jurisdiction is a creature of statute. It must be expressly stated before it is assumed. No law in Uganda allows the committee to discipline a member of Parliament regarding things allegedly done outside the precincts of Parliament, even if such things are derogatory. Civil and criminal remedies exist for dealing with real or perceived or suspected social media, incendiary or offensive rhetoric. It is not the work of this committee. What crimes, civil wrongs, disparaging remarks, unethical conduct against the Deputy Speaker or members of Parliament committed outside Parliament are matters for such institutions as police, courts, or other non-parliamentary related organs are empowered to handle. It would be slipshod for the committee to be guided to handle, for instance, a matter where a member of Parliament grabs the spouse of the Speaker or Commissioner of Parliament, or for a member of Parliament to be brought before the committee for insalubrious remarks about Parliament at various. The word was insalubrious. You know, these days we are used to these very big words. Things or remarks, however, annoying to the Speaker of Parliament or other leader in this House that happen outside this House or its precincts, including on social media, should be handled there, outside the House and outside this committee. Secondly, bias, partiality, and lack of independence. The Supreme Law demands that only impartial tribunals dispense judicial or quasi-judicial functions. People who appear before the committee are entitled to the reality and climate of independence and impartiality. granted under Articles 28(1), 42, and 44C of the Constitution of Uganda. With the Deputy Speaker, Right Honourable Anita Among, as personally and individually interested and concerned in this matter, she has confessed before referring the matter to the committee, nothing short of a miracle would see the committee make recommendations adverse to those of the Deputy Speaker. The fair hearing, impartial, and independent tribunal legal provisions are clear enough, and some reproduced here. Article 28, a right to a fair hearing. In terminations of civil rights and obligations or any criminal charge, a person shall be entitled to a fair, speedy, and public hearing before an independent and impartial court or tribunal established by law. Right to just and fair treatment in administrative decisions. Any person appearing before an administrative official or body has right to be treated justly and fairly, and shall have a right to apply to a court of law in respect to an administrative decision taken against him or her. 6. The Deputy Speaker, Right Honourable Anita Among, made it clear before giving the committee an ultimatum of 2 weeks. That the matter the committee is handling personally concerns her. She even said that if the Speaker was not indisposed, she would have stepped aside. The Deputy Speaker knew very well that she was referring a personal, individual grievance to the committee in a gross abuse of office. She is settling a personal score using Parliament's rules and privileges and discipline committee. She is the boss of the committee. The committee reports to her. It is handling a matter in which she is playing the victim after mocking a torture victim. Conclusion. Both biases, partiality and lack of independence on the one hand and lack of jurisdiction on the other denote the committee of the jurisdiction to handle matters of the Deputy Speaker referred to the committee. In the circumstances and for the reason above, no just can emanate from the committee. Signed, Council for Honourable Zaake on the 1st of March, and the response is done jointly and filed by Messrs. Kiza Magician Company Advocates and Messrs. Pace Advocates, Port 3 Lumumba Avenue. So colleagues, the press, that is the communication we are waiting today to receive formally from the lawyers who have opted also to stay away. Since this matter was raised, and as I was consulting you, it is my duty as the presiding office of this committee to make a ruling as to whether we have a jurisdiction or not. And this is my ruling. The Honourable Francis Zaake Adduse is the subject of pending proceedings before this committee, arising out of a tweet which is alleged to be derogatory of the person of the Right Honourable Speaker and the integrity of the institution of Parliament. On the 28th February, Honourable Zaake appeared before the committee and objected to the jurisdiction of this committee to handle the matter. In a subsequent written submission presented to the committee, which was on Monday, his legal counsel contended that the rules of this committee spring from Article 94(1) of the Constitution enjoining Parliament to frame rules to regulate its own procedure, including the procedure of its committees. According to Land Council, the article is appropriately titled Rules of Procedure in Parliament and not Rules of Procedure outside Parliament. They contend that the jurisdiction is a breach of the statute and must be expressly stated before it is assumed. It is their contention that no law in Uganda allows the committee to discipline a member of parliament regarding things allegedly done outside the precincts of parliament, even if such things are derogatory. They accordingly argue that civil and criminal remedies exist to address such wrong, disparaging remarks, unethical conduct against the right honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and members of Parliament committed outside Parliament, and not this committee. In their view, things or remarks, however annoying to the Speaker or Parliament or other leader in this House, that happen outside this House or its precincts, including on social media, should be handled there outside the House and outside this committee. The issue that arises from the objection is whether the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline has jurisdiction to adjudicate and determine complaint against the Honorable Zaake. The committee has ably identified and considered the applicable provision of the law. Land Council for Honorable Zaake premised their contention on Article 94 of the Constitution for their contention that the rules of procedure of Parliament are restricted or should be restricted to acts or omissions of members of Parliament during proceedings in the Parliament within the precincts of Parliament. Article 94 provides, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, Parliament may make rules to regulate its own procedure, including the procedures of its committee. The committee's view is that whereas the title alludes to rules of procedure in Parliament, the actual rule empowers Parliament to make rules to regulate its procedure, including the procedure of its committee. The rule does not in any way restrict Parliament to making rules of procedure governing conduct of its members only during proceedings in Parliament or within the precincts of Parliament. To do so would be to create an absurdity. Article 94 of the Constitution enacted the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda, Statutory Instrument 21 of 2021. These are the rules that regulate the conduct of business in procedure, as well as the conduct and discipline of members of Parliament. The committee notes that Honorable Zaake and his legal team did not venture into provisions of the said rules. Honorable Zaake and his team did not venture into the provision of the said rules under which this committee derives its jurisdiction. To demonstrate that the complaint before the committee falls outside the scope of complaints that should be adjudicated by this committee. And colleagues, as you remember, I asked the council that as they come with their written submission, they should address themselves to Article 94 and our Code of Conduct. However, the lawyers in their response are silent on the rules of procedure of Parliament, which gives this committee jurisdiction. The committee has carefully reviewed the relevant provisions and applicable provisions of the rule insofar as they relate to the objection in the context of the complaint before us. Honourable members, the conduct of members of Parliament is regulated by Rule 85 of our Rules of Procedure. And I repeat, the conduct of members of Parliament is regulated by Rule 85 of our Rules of Procedure. And it provides the behavior of a member of Parliament shall be guided by the conduct of members prescribed in Appendix F. The committee's understanding of the said rule is that it is not restricted to behavior or conduct of members of Parliament during proceedings in Parliament or within the precincts of Parliament. In the committee's view, enforcement of compliance with the Code of Conduct is a matter that falls squarely within the structures of Parliament, inclusive this committee. Under Rule 5 of our Code of Conduct, in Appendix F, it does provide, members shall, at all times, and I emphasize at all times, conduct themselves in a manner which maintains and strengthens the public trust and confidence in the integrity of Parliament, and never undertake any action, and I emphasize this, any action which may bring the House or its members generally into disrepute. A clear reading of the rule does not suggest in any way that the conduct envisaged must be during proceedings in Parliament or within the precincts of Parliament. It is my view that the conduct envisaged under the rule extends to acts disparaging utterances, omissions of the members of Parliament, even outside the precincts of Parliament, as long as it follows in the category conduct which may bring the House or members generally into disrepute. That is my view, and as the presiding officer charged with the conduct of interpreting these rules for the purposes of orderly transaction of the committee's business, I so interpret. Colleague, on the issue of bias, as I've already explained, we may not have to go into that now, but since it has been raised, it will be dealt with in detail in the report. But let us have a response to it. Honorable Zaake has been given every opportunity to come and present his case. We did write to Honorable Zaake, informing him of his right to counsel. We also asked him if he so wishes to cross-examine any witness who is going to appear before the committee. He is willing to do so. We also informed him that he is willing to attend all the proceedings of this committee. Honorable Zaake was allowed to bring his counsel, to present his statement, and his counsel to address us. Honorable Zaake sought an adjournment to the 28th of last month for him to present his case together with his lawyers. Actually, in that communication, he wanted to present his defense. In a turnaround of events, when he appeared on the 28th, he said he's doing it out of courtesy, but is not obliged because we have no jurisdiction. He nevertheless asked for an adjournment, even then, for 2 days to have a written submission. We did adjourn today. Much as we said it is 1 day, it was actually 2 days, the one he asked for. The committee came ready to hear the written, have the written submission forwarded to us formally and presented to the committee. Both the Honorable Zaake and his lawyers have decided not to attend. Yes, justice must be done and seen to be done. What else could the committee do at this point? It is unfair for anybody to accuse this team of bias, partiality, and independence. We are not here acting on behalf of the Honorable Deputy Speaker. We are here acting on behalf of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Whereas Honorable Zaake says we are impartial and we are partial and biased, there is no evidence he has brought or put forward to point to our partiality or bias. The courts of law have had the opportunity to consider issues of bias, and they have said this. To determine bias, there must appear to be real likelihood of bias. Surmise or conjecture is not enough. The reason advanced by Honorable Zaake, in my view, amount to conjecture or surmise. They are not sufficient to render the committee biased. That could possibly be the very reason why no application was made for any member of committee to recuse themselves. The committee is guided by the rules. The committee must be trusted to abide by the rules. the observations attributed to the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker have not been attributed to any members of the committee. It would be different if the Right Honourable Speaker was presiding over the committee proceedings. Once the matter was referred to this committee, the committee is entitled to look at the evidence adduced before it and cannot comment of other persons. Indeed, at the beginning of the proceedings of this committee, I did direct that no member of this committee will go and make any public statement, either to the media or any other place, regarding the subject of discussion. I also directed that no member of this committee should appear on radio or TV or appear in the press discussing this particular matter. I am extremely happy that since that directive and consensus of the committee, no member has been caught breaching that guidance. An issue was raised about a purported petition that was circulating. We asked ourselves that nobody should get involved in that petition, and anybody who could have or will get involved in that petition would excuse himself from the proceedings of the committee. What else did the Honourable Zaake and his legal team want us as a committee to do? Everything possible legally has been done. Everything reasonably to be done has been done. Where are the instances where Honourable Zaake will point to an act of bias on behalf of the committee? The details are going to be contained in our report to the House, but suffice it that we had to make a comment since they have alluded to the issue of bias and partiality at this point. Honour members, that is my guidance. And do we have quorum? Do we have jurisdiction? We do. Are we biased? No. Not to my knowledge. And not, I think, to any committee's knowledge. And even Honourable Zaake has not brought that to our knowledge. I therefore rule that the committee will continue with the investigation of this matter until we bring it to its end. I thank you. Yes, and we intend to have now him formally summoned or written to. If he can appear tomorrow, yeah, the better. And thereafter we'll conclude this business, and I'm sure we'll have had enough material upon which we can decide what to do. Unless there is any other witness who would want to appear before us and be right, and we discuss. But otherwise, as a committee, I think let us have the UCC. Unless any of you thinks we have any other witness other than an officer from UCC.
Hosting someone from UCC.
We did talk about that at the beginning. That was, and we said that we shall call him at the appropriate time. Remember at the beginning of the meeting?
That was in the event that Honourable Zaake disowned the post. He neither disowned, neither did he own it.
Having a witness from the UCC, we anticipated that there would be doubt on whether that account actually belongs to Honourable Zaake or not. In this case, we are not discussing the matter of the Twitter account. We are discussing the fact that Honourable Zaake says this committee has no jurisdiction, and we as a committee know that we have that jurisdiction. And I want to think that we go that way, because Zaake has not said this is my Twitter account or this is not my Twitter account. So then why are we talking about UCC? Because to me it doesn't arise, because it is not in contention. Honourable Zaake does not put it in contention. he doesn't say this is my account or this is not my account. So why are we investigating it?
Okay, let's see everybody first.
Honorable Chair, I want...
Honorable Zake's presentation, the first day he appeared here, that he called these mere allegations. That means it is something that is purported, and it is true that we agreed as a committee that we should leave all avenues open. That means we still need information to make our report concrete. So it is important for us to let whoever has information that can solidify our position to bring it forward to the committee so that we can have a very independent report. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Serwan.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, because in any type of investigation whatsoever, as the investigator, you must exhaust all the available avenues so that you don't have any doubt on the decision and the report that you're going to make. So, Chair, I think it is important for the committee to have the team from Uganda Communications Commission before you do anything, so that they give us the real last evidence, that we talk with facts. You know, it is not good to just make assumptions. So I think the decision you have taken, Chair, to invite the UCC here is a very good decision, and I strongly support it.
Okay. Report. Friday, Saturday. Yeah, for report writing.